going to be talking about today is factoring sums and differences of cubes. What's a sum? It's plus. Yeah, what's the difference? A minus. What's a cube? And don't tell me it's a box. In math, cubing something means times it by itself how many times? 3 times. So what power is the third power? So on the far right side of your page of the actual notebook paper, what can you do this? So here's the page. Now, look, I got something cool here. Let me find it. Let me do one of these. So there's your page 21, right? I want you to take the little piece that I gave you, and I want you to put it like right in there. And what I want you to do is have room right here. What you're going to write right here is the word cubes. Now, you don't have to tape or glue it in now, you might just sit it in there so that you can see where you want to write. And you're just going to write some stuff right down here, okay? What's 1 cubed? 1. This is what you're going to write. What's 2 cubed? 2 to the third power means 2 times 2 times 2. 8. 2 times 2 is 4 times 2 is 8. What's 3 cubed? Good. 27. 4 cubed? 64. What's 5 cubed? 125. How far do I want to go down? Well, we're going to 10. You have a calculator. We're going 6 cubes as soon as I can find a place to put it. Come on, Stennett. What's 6 cubed? 216. 7 cubed? 343. 8 cubed? 512. 9 cubed? 729. And 10 cubed. What do I expect you to know? I really expect you to know through 5 cubed. You ought to know those. Now let's get into the page that you have. Notice that it says a cubed plus or minus b cubed. Now, here's the deal. Oh, and then you see the word soap. Okay, soap comes in real big in this lesson. Both of these numbers must be perfect cubes. They must be some number on that list you just wrote. And you must have a binomial. A binomial. Right below that, do you see where it says a cubed plus b cubed? What I'm going to do is I'm going to write down a formula, and then I'm going to show you how to use it. So how do you factor a cubed plus b cubed? It's a plus b times a squared plus ab plus b squared. I will explain to you how to use it in a minute. You just get it written down. Miss Dennett, do I have to memorize this formula? Yep. A cubed minus B cubed is A minus B times, oh snap, I wrote something down wrong. Huh. That's a minus right there. That's a minus. Now let's talk about soap. Soap. Okay. Each one of those letters represents something to tell you what signs to put in here, because you were probably thinking, how do I know if it's plus or minus? Soap tells you what signs to use. So S means same. Well, so what's that mean? The first sign right here is the same as this one. Same. The next sign, what do you notice about this sign compared to that one, and this sign compared to that one? Opposite. So what do you think the O means? Opposite. Look at the last sign. In fact, both positive, right? Always positive. So SOAP stands for same, opposite, always positive. That's how you know what your signs are going to be when you factor a sum or difference of cubes. So let me write something. I don't want you to tell me the numbers. I want you to tell me the signs. Don't write this down. X cubed minus 64. Now, here's the deal. When you factor a sum or difference of two cubes, it's always going to be a binomial times a trinomial. It will always be a binomial times a trinomial. What sign would sit right here? So, same. So it's going to be this one. What sign's going to sit right here? Positive, because opposite. And what's going to sit right here? Because always positive. Try another one. Y cubed plus 125. Now we're going to put sign here, and a sign here. Positive Y. Same. Opposite. Always positive. Good. The signs are the hardest part. I want you to understand why this last one, why it's always positive. Notice. The very last piece there is squared. What do you get when you square anything? When you do a negative squared, means a negative times a negative, which is a positive, and when you square a positive times positive is a it's always going to be positive, because when you square anything, you get a positive. So now, steps. You've got steps, right? Step one, for factoring. What is step one for factoring anything? Jonah, Gabriel, what's step one? Look for a GCF. When you take that test on Friday, I want my voice going through your head, and I'm real sorry about that, but I want my voice going through your head going, look for GCF, look for GCF.
Write that on number 1.
Write that on step 1. Oh, sorry, write that where it says the 2 asterisks. My bad. Where it says the 2 asterisks. Now, your step 1, take the cube root of each term. And I'm going to write it this way. Call them A and B. And I'll show you what I mean by that. Number 2. Plug A and B into the formulas. Use SOAP for signs. Step 3 is check your answer. I think you'll find doing these pretty easy. I really do. Now, you see 2 examples on your page there, right? Let's look at the first one. 64a cubed plus 1. How many terms you see? 2. Sum or a difference? It's a sum. Now, I want you to do this. I want you to go back in your notebook to page 17. Please go to page 17. How do I factor? Number 1, you look for a GCF. Then, how many terms you got?
2.
You go over to where it says 2 terms. Now look, you got 3 different ways to factor with 2 terms. A difference of 2 squares. Is this a difference of 2 squares? No, because it's cubes. So this is not squares. So now we've got difference of 2 cubes or sum of 2 cubes. Is that a sum or a difference? That's a sum. So we're going to look to see, is this a sum of 2 cubes? If it is, we can factor it, and if it's not, then there's not a confound thing we can do. We'd say it's prime. What's the cube root of that? What's the cube root of 64? 4, look at your table that you made on the far right side of your page. 4. What's the cube root of a cubed? A, right. So, 4a. What's the cube root of 1? 1. So, in the formula, everywhere I saw an A, I'm going to put this. And everywhere I saw a B, I'm going to put this. And I'm going to use what for my signs? Soap. Yeah, soap. Yeah. Now remember the formula for a sum of 2 cubes. You look up to the top. It was A plus B. Well, let's do it this way. We'll do our signs in a minute. A squared, A times B, and B squared. So, what's that first thing? What am I going to put first? 4a. And what am I going to put second? So I'm going to put 4a and 1. Now, what goes first in my trinomial? I'm going to square 4a. 4a is not 4a squared. What's 4a times 4a? What's 4 times 4?
16.
16a squared. 4a times 4a is 16a squared. A times b means this times this.
4a.
And then b squared is this squared. Now let's use SOAP to get our signs. What does SOAP stand for? Same, opposite, always positive. What's my first sign going to be? Plus, same, opposite, always positive. Ladies and gentlemen, you just factor the sum of two cubes. There it is. That's not too bad, huh? Not too bad. Hey, Armando. Let's try that second one. 343 m cubed minus 64 n to the 6th. Okay, we better talk about that during variables first. What's the cube root of m cubed? M, because m times m times m is m cubed. What's the cube root of n to the 6th? Very good. Why?
6 divided by 3.
Yeah.
2.
Yeah. Are you surprised? Did you surprise yourself?
Well, I wrote that.
When you multiply like bases, what do you do to the exponents?
No,
You add them, and 2 plus 2 plus 2 is 6. Very good. So n to the 6th is a perfect cube because its cube root is n squared. He also said I just divided that by 3 and it's 2, and that's right. Okay. There's no GCF here. What is the cube root of that whole first term? 7m. What's the cube root of this? 4n squared. So everywhere I saw an A, what am I going to put? 7m. And everywhere I saw a B, what am I going to put? 4n squared. Now remember, let's just get the terms in. We'll come back with SOAP in a minute and put the signs in. A goes first. So what goes first? 7m. Okay, we're not going to do signs yet. If you can if you want. What's B? What goes right here? 4n squared. Now, to sit right here, that's a squared. So what's 7m times 7m? Good, 49m squared. And how do you figure out what goes right here? A times B, right? What's 7m times 4n squared? 28 mn squared. Right, and I'm going to have to get us some more room here. What's going to be last? This squared. Square it. No. What's 4 squared? 16. Good. 16 into the 4th. Good. Now let's come back with SOAP and do our signs. First sign, same, opposite, always positive. Ladies and gentlemen, you just factored something pretty hairy. If you can see where you're going to put your paper, if you will scoot it as far to the top as you can, and go ahead and glue or tape it in, and we're going to do 2 practice problems at the bottom, and then you'll have your homework. practice problem. We're going to do 2 of them. So I would do 1, and then I would do 2. You should have enough room to do it that way. Number 1, 125x cubed minus 216. What's the first thing you always look for when you factor? GCF. There's not a GCF in this one. How many terms do you see? 2 terms. The only way you know how to factor 2 terms is difference of 2 squares, sum of 2 cubes, difference of 2 cubes. Does this look like it could be squares? No, you ought to automatically know it's not squares because of it's got an x cubed in it. So it's probably if it's anything, it's a difference of 2 cubes. Why is it not a sum of 2 cubes? Because the sign is a minus, yeah. So we're looking to see, is this thing a difference of 2 cubes? What's the cube root of that? 5x. Please write the cube root down below it so that you can make sure you remember it. What's the cube root of 216? All right. What sits first? 5x. Let's not worry about the signs. What sits second? Good. And what sits first in the trinomial? Good. It's this squared, so it's 25x squared. How do you find what sits next? Multiply them together. 5x times 6, 30x, good. And what comes last? Good. 6 squared is 36. Now let's get your signs. SOAP. Same, opposite, always positive. There's your answer. How could you check this? Multiply it all out. Yeah, FOIL it. It'll be big, but you know what's interesting is how does a big old thing like this end up when you multiply it out to just a binomial? Well, because a lot of crap will add up to give you 0. All right, let's look at the last one, number 2. 8y cubed plus 27x cubed. Yep. Do you have a GCF? Nope. Nope. What's this called? Is this a sum or a difference? It's a sum. So it's a sum of 2 cubes. It's a sum of 2 cubes because what's the cube root of the first term? 2 what? 2y. What's the cube root of the second? Good. All right, let's do it. Talk to me. What goes here? 2y. 3x. 4y squared. Good. 6xy. Well done. Well done. How do we find the signs? SOAP. First sign? Same. Opposite? Always positive. Done. Ladies and gentlemen, give me a thumb on factoring sum and difference of cubes. Give me a thumb, Tanner. Okay. All right. I will give you your assignment.